What's up, everyone? This is Theos from Theos Tech Review. Today we are unboxing Apple's newest iPad Pro. This is the 5th generation of the iPad Pro. It has the new Space Black color, Apple's new M4 chip, 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and there's a few other changes to this model that makes it better than the last. Let's get into it. So, with Apple's sustainability goals, they are now doing different openings, so basically getting rid of the plastic for the environment. But the opening of it is pretty satisfying. We also have the Apple Pencil Pro, which is one of the two options for pencils that are compatible with this new iPad, because there's a different camera layout for the front camera where they kind of move some magnets around on the inside, so the outgoing pencil or the second generation Apple Pencil won't really work with this new iPad. If you have the USB-C Apple Pencil, that will work, but that's a change, and we'll talk about this more in a minute. So here it is. Just simple. Once you pull those tabs, lift up on it, and boom. So here's the iPad covered in more of a paper material. It's really thin. It's actually Apple's thinnest product ever, according to them. 5.3 millimeters thick compared to the 5.9 millimeter thick from the last generation iPad Pro with the M2 chip. Inside the box, we get documentation. I actually think Apple stopped including stickers now, which looks like they did, so no more stickers with all your new devices. Then we just have a charging block, which is rated for 20 watts, and a color matched cable to go with the Space Black iPad. Space Black is just a newer color that they've been doing. Like the M3 Pro and MacBook Pros came in that same color, and yeah, it's a new color. It's a little darker. I personally like it. Just to keep things a little cleaner around here. So let's go ahead and take off the wrap. So just a pretty satisfying experience. Once you pull that, you just slide it out, and boom, here you have it, the new iPad Pro. So the Space Black color, I personally like it more than Space Gray. This comes in two colors, Space Black and Gray. And then the M2 iPad Pro has Space Gray and Silver, but I'm a fan of the Space Black. So some of the key changes between, or the newer things to this iPad compared to the old one, it now has an OLED display, a tandem OLED display. Supports ProMotion. Instead of having a camera at the top of the iPad, like they've traditionally been doing, this now has a landscape camera. So for your Face ID, FaceTime calls, it's now done from the landscape orientation. Most people hold it there anyway, and now you can hold the iPad without really getting your fingers in the way of the camera when you try to hold it like you would think to hold the tablet. It's really light, really thin. There's really nothing that I would complain about. So this iPad does have a few tweaks. Instead of the 5 microphones, this only has 4. It has 4 studio speakers. This has an Ultra Retina XDR display instead of just a liquid Retina display. Has a new peak brightness of 1000 nits, up from 600 nits with the last generation iPad Pro. It has a HDR peak brightness of 1600 nits. But on top of all the improvements, there's one thing that kind of changed, and it's kind of interesting, a decision that they made. The M2 iPad Pro had two rear-facing cameras. This now only has one. This is a 12 megapixel wide camera, but the outgoing iPad Pro had a 10 megapixel ultra wide camera, which this now does not have. So with that, if you're taking wider photos, you would notice. If I don't really know, I don't personally take a ton of pictures with my iPad. When you have an iPhone, it's kind of inconvenient to take a picture like this, to be honest. But yeah, there's no complaints about it so far. So, or I wouldn't complain about it. Like, I probably wouldn't even notice. I can probably count on my hand the amount of times I've even taken a picture with an iPad, to be fully honest. At least a rear-facing camera. And with the case, like I have the Smart Folio case here. Once you put that case on, you honestly, when you can see the display, you're covering up the camera. So you wouldn't really be able, like, even notice it. Or not notice it, but it's kind of something that you wouldn't think about. So this does have the tiniest camera bump. Not super noticeable to me. I am unboxing it, so like as of today, it's not crazy noticeable. Plus, honestly, with the case, it kind of evens the back out anyway. I do really like these Smart Folio cases. I think like they give a nice texture to it, and having the indentations so you're able to kind of like stand it up at different levels, I think is pretty nice. I'm gonna set this up and get back to you. So that's still updating. So while we're waiting, let's unbox this Apple Pencil Pro. So just like the iPad, had a little pull tab. Pulled it. It slides out, designed by Apple in California, stitched across that, or printed across that. Open it, some documentation. But there's not much in these boxes. You open this and there it is. Just says Pencil Pro across the top. And you kind of unroll it. Kind of spread the adhesive apart. And there it is. The Apple Pencil Pro. And these are super convenient to pair them. You really just drop them on top. And that's all it takes to pair them. This new Apple Pencil does support Find My Device support. So if you lose the pencil, that was kind of the trouble people went through with the old ones. There was no way to really find them. So once you lost it, it was pretty much lost until you physically seen it and picked it up. But yeah, that is it for the day. This is the new iPad Pro and the new Apple Pencil Pro. Thanks for watching.